Crafting a likable yet flawed hero for your novel. Welcome back, fellow writers. Today on Writing Career Coach channel, we are delving into the art of creating compelling protagonists. Specifically, we'll begin to explore how to craft a likable yet flawed hero for your novel. So grab your notebook and let's dive in. Every great story hinges on its protagonist, and while we want our readers to root for them, we also want them to feel real, relatable, and flawed just like us. That's because we have all had experience with people or characters that just seem too perfect. They just are not relatable. In fact, in some movies, typically the comedies, the people who seem so perfect are so completely unrelatable that we root for them to lose, be defeated, or get the pie in the face. Am I right? On the other hand, with a few notable exceptions, we don't want the main character of our story to be so completely broken that the dysfunction becomes a frustration to us or makes them completely unrelatable. So how do we strike that delicate balance? Let's break it down here. If you value content that helps you to improve your writing, this is the right video to watch. The Writing Career Coach channel and writingcareercoach.com work together to create your ultimate destination for mastering the art of professional writing. From crafting captivating content to honing your freelance skills, we offer expert guidance tailored to writers of all levels. Like and subscribe to this channel or jump over to the website, the link is in the description, to join our free community today and embark on a journey to elevate your writing career to new heights. To start, think of 1 to 3 of the most memorable protagonists in a book or movie. Did you find them relatable? I didn't say just like you, because the goal of books is to take us to a world where we can be somebody else, but could you relate to what they do, the decisions they made, and the things that they thought? In many cases, there'll be some aspects of who they are that you connect with, which makes you like them. Write down what it was about those characters. If you want, pause the video right now so that you can take a minute to write it down. Next, think about what you admired about this person. What is a quality you value in them that you wish you had more of? Maybe it was loyalty, ingenuity, bravery. Consider what made that character someone you wanted to spend hours of your life reading about or watching. What was so compelling that it drew you in? Write those things down as well. We want to strike a balance between relatable traits and admirable ones when crafting our characters. Once we have these things that make them such a great person to know, let's start to add humanity to them. First, embrace perfections. Often it's their flaws that make our favorite characters feel human to us. Even if you never read the book The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, if you've seen the movie, you see the cast of characters are brave and loyal, but can also be impulsive and stubborn. These imperfections make the characters endearing and relatable. So, to create your character, identify key flaws. Brainstorm potential flaws that make your hero relatable, like insecurity, impulsiveness, self-doubt. Ensure these flaws are authentic and drive the character's development throughout the story. That means they cannot just be something mentioned a couple of times, but rather they should be a part of their makeup. These can also be things that are resolved as part of their character arc in the story. Just not all of them. Okay, so on to likability. Your hero doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I think I made a good case at the opening for the idea that they maybe shouldn't be perfect, but they should possess qualities that readers admire or sympathize with. Maybe they're fiercely loyal like Katniss Everdeen or charmingly optimistic like Jay Gatsby. These traits create an emotional connection with your audience. You want the reader to want to build a connection. While I realize there are some authors who have done an amazing job at creating characters we hate but read anyway, I'm personally thinking of Gone Girl. That is a very unique skill and one that I don't feel at all qualified to teach. So for this video, I'm focusing on building that likability. So how do we establish likability? First, define qualities that endear the hero to readers like compassion, humor, resilience. Then throughout your story, show how these traits manifest in the hero's actions and relationships. Show, don't tell. Try not to be too heavy-handed in this way when you do it. I've often seen Christians in their fiction writing trying to do this by creating a sermon in the middle of their novel, or romance novelists stopping their story for a deep dive in how deep he is. Both of these don't work because you're stopping the action of the story to tell me something about the character. The reader wants to see and discover these traits for themselves, which means they have to be very subtle. You have to let the reader suddenly realize, wow, this person is very compassionate, rather than having him stop to help a dog on the side of the road and trail off on a 3-page story of when he volunteered at a dog rescue. Next, consider your hero's backstory. What experiences shaped them into who they are today? Perhaps they've faced adversity or made mistakes in the past. These struggles add to the depth of your character and explain their flaws, making them more empathetic to readers. It is very important that you be careful in the creation of backstory. There are many novelists who have done info dumps or filled the opening of their book with a ton of backstory that stops the action for the reader entirely, and these books typically don't get published. This is an amateur mistake and will leave your novel dead in the water. Instead, you need to be subtle in your revelation of your backstory. Look at the interaction your reader is developing a relationship with the character. Have a slow reveal about these things about themselves. As the author, you need to know what the backstory is because it will shape your character, but give it to your reader a little bit at a time. In order to build a backstory, first, create a backstory that explains the origins of the hero's flaws and likable qualities. Then introduce formative experiences that shape the hero's worldview and behavior. Remember, this is just for you. This is important as an author. We, the writers, always know more of the backstory than we reveal, but it isn't wasted. In a future video, I'll show you how to use that additional information. Now, with the backstories, there will be good and bad revealed. We will see flaws and we will see strengths. As you're developing your plot, remember flaws aren't weaknesses. They're opportunities for growth. As your hero embarks on their journey, they should confront their shortcomings and evolve as a person. It's this internal struggle that drives the narrative forward and keeps readers invested until the very end. Next, the character arc. The character arc, as I just alluded to, is the internal struggle or external circumstances which move your narrative and hook the reader. The character arc won't just happen, at least not a good one. To build a character arc, do two things. First, outline the hero's journey and how their flaws evolve over the course of the story. 2, identify pivotal moments that challenge the hero's belief and lead to growth. The added benefit of doing this is you can start to create a narrative with satisfying and complex relationships. Let's turn to that now. Writing complex relationships. In order to write complex relationships, you need to have characters that have multiple dimensions. They cannot simply exist to make dialogue more interesting or to build a scene. Each character needs to have their own goals, and these sometimes are in conflict with our main character. We can do a future video on how to create those relationships. If you'd like to see that, let me know. Just put it in the comments. But to start brainstorming, do these two things. Introduce supporting characters who complement and challenge the hero's flaws, and show how these relationships influence the hero's development and decisions. Next, to create your likable but flawed hero, showcase vulnerability. Allow the hero to display vulnerability and struggle with their flaws. Demonstrate moments of self-reflection and introspection that humanize the character. One important distinction. It seems like lately in books and movies, when we create flaws, we're making really weak, teary-eyed characters or super macho characters, both men and women. But this is simply lazy and cliche and doesn't produce some of the fun characters people want to read. One of my flaws is I overschedule myself, which causes stress in my life. That stress boils over into other areas and can make me grumpy unnecessarily. How could this impact a character in a techno-thriller, a suspense, a rom-com, a romance? Again, making the character someone we see elements of ourselves is making the book more interesting. All of this leads to our ultimate goal, which is reader connection. Fourth, reader connection is what is going to cause your book to reach a larger segment of your audience. All of the points we've made so far are a part of this, but to really polish it off, you need to add a little bit more polish. Highlight scenes that resonate with readers by tapping into universal emotions and experiences. And, as we just said, encourage empathy by showcasing the hero's internal struggles and external conflicts. While we've only given a few bullet points to this topic, I think many of you with fertile author minds will see how this can begin to revolutionize your brainstorming and your writing. I would love to hear from you in the comments, and I try to respond to everyone within about 2 days of posting. If there are any questions or things you'd like me to cover deeper, just let me know. Let me know that in the comments as well. Since I've thrown quite a bit at you, at its core, you need to summarize the importance of creating a hero who is flawed yet likable. You need to reinforce the idea that imperfection is what makes the character relatable and compelling. You need to encourage writers to embrace the complexity of their heroes and the journey of self-discovery they undertake. Crafting a likable yet flawed hero requires patience, nuance, and a deep understanding of human nature. But when done right, your protagonist will capture the hearts of your reader and keep them thinking. Make sure, please, that you like and subscribe to Writing Career Coach, and then give your feedback in the comments of other topics that you would like to see covered. Now, based on what you've watched before, there will be a recommended video to watch next. Go ahead and click that thumbnail to continue improving.